How much pain are you willing to endure for the future of your loved ones? Welcome to Strip Coverlet, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I am Adrian Fort, and we are here for another poetry discussion, which will appear, of course, in the poetry discussion playlist here on the channel. The poem in question today is known as A Ballad of the Trees and the Master by Sidney Lanier, and it reads as such. Into the woods my master went, clean forspent. Into the woods my master came, forspent with love and shame. But the olives, they were not blind to him. The little gray leaves were kind to him. The thorn tree had a mind to him when into the woods he came. Out of the woods my master went, and he was well content. Out of the woods my master came, content with death and shame. When death and shame would woo him last, from under the trees they drew him last. 'Twas on a tree they slew him last, when out of the woods he came. So, I believe that this is in reference to Jesus in Gethsemane. So, just a brief overview of what that story was. This from Wikipedia: the agony in the Garden of Gethsemane is an episode in the life of Jesus which occurred after the Last Supper. The Last Supper, when he said he would be betrayed. And before his betrayal and arrest, all part of the passion of Jesus leading to his crucifixion and death. The episode is described in the three synoptic Gospels in the New Testament. According to these accounts, Jesus, accompanied by Peter, John, and James, enters the Garden of Gethsemane on the Mount of Olives, where he experiences great anguish and prays to be delivered from his impending suffering, while also accepting God's will. This episode is a significant event in Christian tradition, especially in Catholic devotional practices. The agony of Jesus in the garden is the first or second station of the scriptural way of the cross, modern version of Via Crucis, and the first sorrowful mystery of the Dominican Rosary, and it is the inspiration for the Holy Hour devotion in the Eucharistic adoration. It has been a frequent theme in Christian art depicting the life of Jesus. So I think maybe even if you are not familiar with the story, you have a little bit of context of when this is supposed to take place. Now, what I want to talk about from a symbolic perspective here. What is a garden? We are in the Garden of Gethsemane. It is the cultivated wilderness. Not totally cultivated like a lawn, for example. Your lawn is cultivated to the degree that it is just one blade of grass, one type of blade of grass, unless you get the weeds in there too. But not either is it totally wilderness. So let's extend the wilderness to what it is that we normally find as a symbol, as the wilderness normally being a symbol for. That is, of course, the subconscious. The wilderness is the subconscious. The sea is the subconscious. The desert is the subconscious. So we're in a garden, which is not the wilderness, but it's not the wilderness. A lawn, therefore, we might see as being representative of the us that we present to the world. So total cultivation is what we show the world. The subconscious is the wilderness, leaving a garden to sort of represent that middle ground. Our thoughts and our way of processing the subconscious into what it is that we present. It is the garden is basically brainstorming. The garden is basically thinking. You don't think you're subconscious, and the presentation that you put out to the world is more cultivated than just thinking, right? How many times do you think something but refuse to say it? For probably good reason. So the garden represents just that, this sort of middle ground between the wilderness of the subconscious and the cultivated facade that we put out there, which is where we find the character of Jesus as he is struggling with these things. He is struggling with the acceptance of his fate. He is brainstorming all of the possibilities of the remainder of his life. He is coming to terms with those unfortunate truths which lay before him. He is in the thinking process that is the garden, not the wilderness, not the cultivated, the garden. Trees represent growth. Trees represent the future. Trees represent wisdom. We don't often think of trees as a garden plant. You think of flowers and hedges and whatever else you might throw in there. But trees very much would have been a garden plant. The idea of a farm was not quite as separate from the idea of a garden as we have it today. A garden would have oftentimes had at least something producing fruit of the edible variety. So trees, olive trees, etc., would have been very much a part of this garden. So part of that garden, which again represents the thought process, is the thought process of growth, the thought process of the future, the thought process of wisdom. So the Christ is in this garden struggling with thoughts about growth, thoughts about the future, thoughts about wisdom. Basically, and I don't say this to be offensive to anyone who is of the religion, but that is kind of what we get from religion, right? I don't mean to be maybe not offensive, but dismissive of other things that someone might get from religion. But the idea of growth, the idea of the future, and the idea of wisdom are all things that we take from religion. So it is very fitting that there are trees in this garden as a man is preparing himself to be sacrificed for the future, the growth, and the wisdom of humankind. This being a tale of trees in the garden is a story of the Christ figure struggling with sacrifice and choosing the present as his present as sacrificial to the future. So I think that there are a lot of interesting small things going on in this poem which make the symbolic sense that you would hope to see from a poem. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do on the channel, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing I talk about on the channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.